Hi guys, welcome back. It's Jamie again, Football Heaven 24/7. Just going to get to the point as usual. Premier League through to League Two. I'm going to cover all the weekend's action from the. I'm terrible with dates, but from the 10th to the 13th of March, or the 12th, should we say? We do all the action anyway. Jump into the Premier League. At the top of the table, it was Arsenal at the start of the day. It remains Arsenal at the start at the end of the weekend. Arsenal were convincing in their game. They absolutely smashed Fulham on the Sunday, 3-0. Goals from Gabriel, Martinelli, and Odegaard. They were the three goals in the first half. The game was virtually sewn up after that. Fulham tried a little bit in the second half, but it wasn't really worth it because Arsenal absolutely dominated them. So yeah, the 3-0 scoreline means that Manchester City's 1-0 scoreline winning by a penalty from Haaland away at Crystal Palace meant absolutely nothing because there is still a 5-point gap between the two of them. Arsenal are top with 66 points, Man City in second with 61. They've both played 27 games, which means there's only 11 games each between the two of them. 11 games away Arsenal are from winning their first title in 19 years since 2004. So it's absolutely insane. But I hope they do it because fed up of seeing Manchester City winning it all the time, or Liverpool or Chelsea, somebody like that. So it'd be nice to see them win it. But yeah, so that's what happened with the top two. Going down to the other end of the table, the bottom end, there are so many teams that could be drawn into the in the relegation battle, all the way from 12th place Crystal Palace down to the very bottom with Southampton. You're only looking at a 5-point gap between all those teams. So that's how many teams is that? That's 3. There is 9 teams basically going to be battling it out between now and the end of the season to avoid relegation. And they've all got to do it within 12 games or 11 games. So anyway, we'll go through some of the results. Bournemouth did themselves a massive favour in the early kick-off in the Premier League. They were playing at home to Liverpool. Liverpool had just come off the back of absolutely smashing Manchester United 7-0 the previous weekend. And their biggest result, or the worst defeat, should I say, for Manchester United since 1931. Crazy amount of time, nearly 100 years. But anyway, yeah, so Bournemouth got off to absolute flyer. They got a goal on the 28th minute through Billing, and that gave them a 1-0 victory. Liverpool had a penalty, but they missed it through Mo Salah. He blazed it wide to the left. Shocking penalty. Gave Bournemouth their 3 points that they needed. That narrowly got Bournemouth out of the relegation zone on the Saturday, but they were to fall back into it as West Ham picked up a point at home to Aston Villa on the Sunday, thanks to an equalising goal from Benrahma from a penalty after Watkins had given Aston Villa an early lead. So the West Ham game finished 1-1. West Ham are just outside the relegation zone on goal difference. Bournemouth slipped back into the relegation zone. They are there with Leeds United, who drew 2-2 at home to Brighton. Twice they went behind to Brighton through McAllister and a Harrison own goal, but Harrison made up for it by getting the late equaliser. And Bamford's first equaliser for Leeds was absolutely, both of Leeds' goals were fantastic goals, fantastic strikes from outside the box, especially Bamford's. And the game finished 2-2 in that one between Leeds and Brighton. Everton got a much-needed win to get them away from the relegation zone and out of the relegation zone. An early goal in the first minute from Dwight McNeil gave Everton a 1-0 win at home to Brentford. So that pushed Everton up to 15th place in the table. So Sean Dyche is doing really well there. They did come off the back of getting absolutely smashed by Arsenal in the week 4-0. So they've done really fantastic to get that 1-0 win. Actually, they didn't come back off that because that was another game. That was the game from the week before. But anyway, so that's what happened there. Everton are out of trouble for now. Forest got smashed 3-1 away at Tottenham. Joe Worrell did get a goal. It's only Forest's 4th away goal of the season in the Prem, which is pretty pathetic. I'd rather we just went as a Forest fan, all out attack from now on away from home and just played our normal tactics at home to get the points that we need. Theoretically, I've looked at teams that have been relegated from the Premier League in the past, And I think if you have, they always talk about the 40-point mark, but I think if you've got 38 points, you're normally safe. 37, 38 points. So I feel this season that will be enough for someone to finish 17th and just above that relegation zone. But looking at Forest, I'm thinking, as a fan myself, I'm thinking, can they get those 11 points that they need? They're on 26 points to get out of it. I don't know. It's Newcastle up next. Brennan Johnson got injured, the top striker for Forest on Saturday against Tottenham. So we've got Newcastle United next at home. I think it's going to be a very tough ask. I think we'll be lucky if we can get a draw. I'm hoping to get a draw in that game. So I'm going to make a prediction on that already and say 1-1 for Forest against Newcastle. We've got quite a good home record against Newcastle at home, to be fair. Other games at the weekend, Leicester continue to be drawn back into the relegation battle, having got smashed 3-1 by Chelsea at home. Goals from Chilwell, Havertz and Kovacevic scored. Patson Daka for Leicester got one back. Wasn't enough for him, obviously. Man United got a shock 0-0 draw with Southampton. Southampton still fighting it out, but still remain bottom of the Premier League, even though they got a good result at Man United. Newcastle got back to winning ways after not winning in the last 4 or 5 games. They won 2-1 at home to Wolves. Goals from Isaac and Almiron and a goal from Hwang Ji or something for Wolves. So yeah, that's what's going on in the Premier League. Going back to other games at the weekend, there wasn't anything else. I think I mentioned all the other games. So that's how it is. Arsenal are still top by 5 points. Man City in second. Man United in third. Tottenham in fourth. Newcastle in fifth. But yeah, looking at the other games, we're going to go into the Championship now. And the Championship, basically, is still Burnley at the top and Sheffield United in second. But only just. Sheffield United did lose against Luton at the weekend, and they are in a bit of a precarious position at the moment, as far as the fact that Middlesbrough can still catch them up in third place. But yeah, Middlesbrough got a great win, 3-1 away at Swansea. Like I say, Sheffield United lost to Luton 1-0. Burnley won 3-0 at home to Wigan, so that kept them top. So Burnley and Sheffield United in first and second, respectively. Birmingham City beat Rotherham 2-0. Bristol City beat Blackpool 2-0. Coventry drew 1-1 with Hull City. Preston won 2-0 at home to Cardiff City. QPR got back to winning ways after a really, really long run without winning. Won 1-0 against London rivals Watford. Reading lost 1-0 at home to Millwall. On the Friday night game, Blackburn lost 3-2 away at Stoke City. Stoke City came off the back of a 5-1 win away at Sunderland from that game. But Sunderland responded well. They played on Sunday just gone. They won 1-0, a good 1-0 victory away at Norwich, who were obviously trying to get back in the playoff areas. West Brom got back into winning ways, winning narrowly 1-0 against Huddersfield Town. Neil Warnock is looking like he's not going to be able to save Huddersfield. They're still 6 points away from safety. If you count goal difference, you're looking at 7. So I think it's going to be a tough one ask for teams like Huddersfield. In the relegation zone in the Championship, it's still Wigan at the bottom, Huddersfield in there as well, and Blackpool. Just above them is Cardiff, but Cardiff are 6 points clear of Blackpool. As I say, Blackpool lost at the weekend. I've already mentioned that. Other results from the weekend, I think that's pretty much it, actually, for the Championship. So, gone through all those. As I say, Burnley are top, Sheffield United second, Middlesbrough, Luton, Blackburn and Millwall in the playoffs. And I've already mentioned the relegation area. Going into League One, Barnsley won 3-0 against Plymouth, which was quite impressive considering that Plymouth are in second in the table. That allowed Ipswich to get closer to that second place spot. They are now only 2 points away from getting the automatic promotion spot off Plymouth, having won 2-0 away at Bolton. Burton Albion beat Wycombe 2-1. Charlton drew 1-1 with Accrington Stanley. Exeter won 2-1 against Lincoln. Fleetwood drew 1-0 with Port Vale. Forest Green lost 3-1 against Bristol Rovers in a local derby. And Rovers were actually 1-0 down thanks to a goal from Charlie Savage, the son of Robbie Savage, the former Leicester City player. But then they ended up winning 3-1 through goals, 2 goals from Marquis and 1 from Sinclair. So good win for the Gas there. I think that keeps them in 13th in League One. MK Dons are 1-0. They got a 1-0 win in their bid to try and escape relegation out of League One. Oxford lost 3-2 at home to Derby. Peterborough, biggest shock of the day really. Peterborough lost 3-0 at home to Cheltenham. Cheltenham got a much needed win to get them away from the relegation zone. Cheltenham are now 7 points clear of the relegation zone, so it looks like they're going to have yet another season in League One, which will be really good for them and their fans. Portsmouth lost 1-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday. That kept Sheffield Wednesday top. Sheffield Wednesday now in a little bit of a commanding position. They're 5 points clear of the playoff areas at the top of League One, so it looks like they could probably go on to win the title now. And my bet is that Ipswich will end up finishing in second, just behind them. I think Ipswich will nick that spot off Plymouth. There's only 2 points in it now. So Shrewsbury, they're trying to make a late charge for the playoffs. Is it possible for them? I think they're only 6 points outside at the moment. No. What are they? They're 8 points outside, so it could be quite difficult, really, I think, for them to get in there, even though they're doing quite well. They beat Morecambe 3-1. So, yeah, that's what's going on with League One. League One, like I say, it's Sheffield Wednesday at the top, Plymouth in second. Playoff places is Ipswich, Barnsley, Derby and Bolton. And then the relegation zone in League One, it's Morecambe, MK Dons, Cambridge United and Forest Green Rovers. Top goal scorers, Johnson Clark Harris. Didn't mention top goal scorer in the Championship, but the top goal scorer in the Championship is Chuba Akpom. And going into League Two finally, League Two at the start of the day, Leyton Orient were top. Leyton Orient still remain top. Even though they weren't playing, it was the only game out of the professional football leagues to be called off at the weekend due to a frozen pitch at Mansfield they were meant to be playing. But even though they didn't play at the weekend, other teams around them didn't really do too much. Carlisle did get a little bit closer, but they're still 9 points behind Leyton Orient in second. They won 2-1 away at Swindon, having gone a goal down. Newport drew with Bradford 1-1. Crewe won 4-3 against Salford on Friday night. Hartlepool drew 1-1 with Northampton. Stevenage got back to winning ways after a bit of a blip of not winning in several games. They won 3-1 against Walsall. The Codheads won 1-0 against Rochdale. That's Grimsby Town for all those that don't know what Codheads are. Gillingham won 2-0 against Tranmere. Doncaster beat Wimbledon 2-1. Crawley Town won 3-1 against Harrogate Town. Stockport won 1-0 away against Colchester. And Barrow drew 0-0 with Sutton United. So, as I said earlier, Leyton Orient are top of League Two. Second, it's Carlisle. Third is Stevenage. In the playoffs, League Two, it's Northampton, Stockport County, Bradford City and Salford City. Just outside, it's Mansfield Town and Sutton United. And then in the relegation places, the bottom two in League Two to go down to the conference, it's Crawley Town and Rochdale at rock bottom. So top goal scorer is still Cook for Bradford City. So yeah, that's the weekend review. To be honest, there wasn't like massive shocks. Well, there was one or two actually. Bournemouth was the shock really, I suppose, in the Premier League. I think everybody expected Liverpool to go to Bournemouth and win like 3-0 or 3-1 or something like that at least. But hats off to Bournemouth, they got a great win there, 1-0. Bit of a shock there. I suppose Southampton drawing 0-0 away against Man United was definitely a shock as well. Looking into the Championship, there wasn't any major shocks really. I suppose someone could say Luton, or Sunderland even away at Norwich, but I don't think it's much of a shock because those teams are decent teams to go up against. And then going into, like I said it already, Cheltenham in League One, they got a great win away at Peterborough 3-0. It's quite impressive. But Peterborough are having a great season in League One. They're normally in the playoffs when they get relegated from the Championship. They're normally back and forth from the Championship back to League One in the last sort of few seasons. But yeah, nothing much else to report. But the next episode I'm going to do is going to be predictions for the coming week. Obviously, that's going to cover a lot of games from tonight being Monday all the way through to the following Monday. So I'll get that for you in the next episode. For now, though, have a great week, whoever you support. I appreciate all those that watch. Tell your friends and family about it. I always say that. And see if they can get behind us and get more people behind. We can do more things, obviously, if we've got more viewers. I can get some of the money to get out there and do more things. Anyway, have a good one. Bye for now.